Hi, I'm Renny Hartman. I've been working with Literary Gladiators for the last few years. Josh was a Shakespeare student of mine now, I think 10 years ago. Do we go that far back? And I'm going to talk today about David Baldacci's Mercy, which is the fourth book in the Atlee series. Um, he's been writing since 1996. He's a quite handsome individual, not that I have ever met him. Lives in Virginia. Um, his first book was Absolute Power, made into a movie with Clint Eastwood, starring him, directed by him, and made Baldacci a world-famous international seller. And he has sold hundreds of books. By this time, he has several types. Now, this was the fourth in a series of books about a FBI in Arizona woman who has been looking for her sister through three other novels. In this novel, she finds her sister, and they give you a backstory at the beginning of each novel, and at the beginning of this novel also, they will give you some of the backstory, which is that when Atlee was 6, her house was broken into. Her twin sister, who was Mercy, was taken, and she was beaten so that she could have died also, but she survived. And so for 30 years she has been looking for her sister, and most of her books have certainly a lot of looking for her sister in them, although they will have other plots. This one does not. This one is really about the sister and finding the sister who went through terrible situations as a young person. She was taken because Mercy and Atlee's mother had been, as a teenager, some kind of confidential person for the police regarding mobs in New York City. And so one of them, who thinks his brother was killed or imprisoned because of their mother, takes Mercy and then dumps her with people that treat her horribly the whole time she is a young person, give her a different name. She doesn't even know that her name is Mercy. And when we meet her here in this fourth novel, she's actually supporting herself like Fight Club. She fights other people to maintain herself. She lives alone. She's a loner. She is really self-taught. She really had no education. She doesn't know that she's the twin of another woman. And so it is the bringing together of these two in this book. It takes, as you can see, many pages to do so, and there's a tremendous amount of people being semi-kidnapped, semi-held prisoner, in very difficult situations before the two women can get together. And actually when they do meet, although Atlee recognizes her sister, the sister doesn't really recognize the FBI agent who has been looking for her. Now, there is a question about this book among people that have been reading Baldacci in this series of the 4 books. Is this the last of the series? And could be and might not be. He has written several kind of series of books. One of my favorite is The Camel Club. The Camel Club are 4 men in Washington, D.C. One of them works for the Library of Congress since they've had one of the men die, so maybe he hasn't done more since one of his characters was announced dead, I think in 2020. But I like the Camel Club because they were older men, and their situations were always in Washington, D.C. themselves, where we seem to have so much functioning today that's affecting definitely everybody's lives, and there's a tremendous amount of crime, and they don't know how to run the Congress, they don't know how to run the city. The mayor of the city is complaining that she has now received a few thousand illegal entrants of the United States dumped in her city because they were dumped in Texas to begin with, and Texas has sent them out. They've sent some to Washington, D.C. and some to New York City, and they could be probably sent anywhere. Actually, supposedly in New Jersey, we have not a huge record of lost or leaving population because of our high taxes and low business processes in New Jersey because we have a huge illegal population in North Jersey itself. I don't know if that's an actual true fact or not. I like Baldacci. He's an excellent writer. He has wonderful style and excellent dialogue, especially. Not much humor, I have to say. The Camel Club would have a little more humor. And also he has a series with a man called the Memory Man. He was a person who was in an accident and was comatose for quite a while. And when he came back with the perfect memory, so that everything that is ever said or has ever happened that he has experienced is part of his memory. And that works for him very, very well in the novels because it gives him access to absolutely everything that has been mentioned or that he has learned. On the other hand, it also harasses him because it's too much in his mind functioning all the time. He can't put any of it aside. He can't let any of it fall into the archives, so that maybe he would call it up later when he was speaking with someone or when he met somebody from a previous time and they shared a memory. He has all of those memories all the time. It's a very unusual character that Baldacci has created there, but also a very interesting character. I have to say, I am not as crazy about Atlee as some people are. If you look up on Amazon or anywhere else at some of the people's reviews, they just think that the Atlee series and that this fourth book in the series is wonderful. I think there was a little more violence and incidences that kept people from coming together, kept people from knowing where other people were, and let the bad people have too much domination in places. But in the end, the sisters are reunited. Mercy comes to recognize that her real name is Mercy and that she has a family. She also learns that she has a father because her sister has found their mother who disappeared for a while, and that the stepfather was not their real father, but the real father is actually now a person who is quite wealthy and very interested in them. So that makes their background certainly more livable than the fact that Mercy has to live at the moment by being in physical fights at night, like a fight club living. And I think that it means that will pass now that she's been reunited with her sister. And if there is a fifth book, it might be worth looking forward to, because one is an FBI agent, the other one isn't, but maybe they will work together, and that's how Baldacci will continue the series.